Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. How is everybody tonight? Well, let me see. I got to let my 30 seconds go by. I can't say any wordy dirds or anything like that. But if y'all notice my thumbnail, I want to talk about what I was going to talk about Friday. I said, gee, I found out a lot of crazy stuff about a certain symbol. And the more I looked into it, more I'm starting to go, oh, okay, I get it. I see what's going on here. But anyway, let me see. Lori, how you doing? Susie, how are you? Melinda, nice to see you. So my screen's been going a little crazy today. I don't know if y'all have been having any internet issues. How you doing, Doc? Hi. Nice to see you. Diane, how are you? Bubba. Hi, Kim. So I guess you all maybe would have heard that there was uh, a cyber attack, I'd say, a hack, HACK, of a water system. I've got the article. Nikki sent it to me. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Em. B-Dog. Let's see. Who'd I miss? Andrew, B-Dog. Joan, how are you? Nice to see you. Angel. Gloria. William. How you doing, William? Outlandish Patriot. Henri, thumbs up. Yeah, I think about it. Go ahead and podge that thumbs up button for me. Podge, podge. I learned how to cipher that word in the 6th grade. Podge. Somebody got podged in the eye. So we all had to write, I will not podge people in the eye. It was an accident, for crying out loud. But anyway, let's see. This water system. Now, I'll tell you what's going to happen. This is not good. This is, it's not good, but it's not the end of the world either. Had some Palestinian cyber goobers get into a filtration plant's municipal water system computer system and hack it. And the alarms went off and they intercepted it, bypassed it, and apparently were able to trace it back. So, hi, Sharon. How are you doing? Angel. Let's see. Sissy, how are you doing? I miss Sissy. It jumped on me. I didn't see it with my eyeball. But anyway, what was this? Alquipa, PA. Alquipa, the municipal water supply of Alquipa, said Saturday that one of their booster stations had been hacked by an Iranian-backed cyber group. I said Palestinian. But hey, there ain't but so many hats to change around here. So I apologize to the Palestinian people. Let's see. Matthew Motz, chairman of the board of directors, blah, 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 confirmed that the cyber group known as Cyber Avengers, and that's spelled AV3 NGERS. So they're stealing that from me. 3 for an E. Ha ha. Took control of one of the stations. An alarm went off as soon as the hack had occurred. So they knew right away when it happened. And what I was going to say is, you watch what happens. How many videos are going to be watch the water and all that stuff? Now, hey, this could be a problem if it wasn't caught. I'm expanding a photo of their water system, and I've said before, way back in the past, that I used to run a public-private water system, and what apparently, I'm just looking at some of the equipment. This is a pretty sophisticated and they say it was developed in Israel. Wait a second. Moats out of the station, located on the outskirts of town, monitors and regulates pressure for Raccoon and Potter townships, and stress that there is no known risk to the drinking water supply. So the system they hacked to monitors pressure. There's apparently no way for them to, by this hack, adjust the chlorine amount or the fluoride amount or introduce any kind of foreign substance in there. So people are not going to know that, not going to think that, and there's going to be a lot of people going, they got in the water supply, they're going to kill us all. Well, no, if they're successful, you're turning your spigot on and nothing will come out. Okay, they want to aggravate everybody, trouble people, but that wasn't the case even with a small little municipality. Well, the other thing they're going to zero in on, I'm just guessing. Raccoon City. Raccoon City was was it 1990s or early 2000s? There was a game that came out, a video game on PlayStation. I guess when the first PlayStation came out. But anyway, it was about a virus. And what was it called? Resident Evil. And it turned into Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and then PlayStation 2 came out, and they kept making games. Anyway, but Raccoon City was the epicenter of this breakout. So some people might be tying into that, because I've already seen some memes where they have Umbrella was the name of the group that was in charge of research and everything like that. So, I mean, this thing is ripe for somebody to try to get a million clicks or 200,000 clicks. Yeah, the Outlandish, they made movies out of it too. That's right, Lori. They have to get the aquifer to stop since they're on a well. And there's no way to invade the quality of the water by getting in there and messing with the electronic equipment. You can shut the water on off and mess around that way. And it's mostly to harass and discredit this company that produces these water systems. Let me see. My phone is lagging. Wow, it keeps dropping stuff off. But anyway, it says the Water Authority confirms they were hacked. No risk to the public. No risk to the public. The machine that was hacked used a system called Unitronics, which Mott says is software or has components that are Israeli owned. The system has since been disabled, so they're able to bypass it, probably manage it manually with valves, manual pump switches, whatever they need to do. So members of the Pennsylvania State Police were called to it was a booster station to begin a criminal investigation. In a statement on Sunday, Congressman Chris Deluzio said he's monitoring the situation, and booster station tells me that's not the primary well. Of course, you get residents on a elevated their subdivisions in an elevated area, and they got to boost the water up to the area. Luckily, everything I had to service was downhill because I'm a mountain man. But anyway, so I mean, let's just for you know, what's and giggles. See who tries to make hay out of this. Um, and the thing is that this initial report was from CBS. They're going to encourage people to, because why do they call it terror attacks, right? Just to get in people's minds and upset them. Okay, so we're not going to allow that to happen to us. And that reminds me, hi, Nikki, how you doing? Yeah, hit that thumbs up. Ha ha. Sissy said, ha 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 ha. Miss Bender Sue, how you doing? If I miss anybody, I apologize. But that reminds me of the Rainbow Bridge thing that happened. And I told you all that when I saw pictures of it, they were on the one hand, somebody was saying it looked like a Chrysler 300 or a Bentley. And I saw pictures. Next time I do a picture show, I'll see if I can scrounge that up and put it on the screen, and you'll see what I'm saying. The first pictures that came out, the thing looked like it'd been in a put together parts out of a junkyard, different colored doors. You know, it looked like a piece of junk to me. But then footage I saw later on, it was one solid color white. So, you know, it turns out that couple was well-known, wealthy business people that had been a part of a local a community group that did charity work, and they met and had dinners and functions and stuff for a long time up in Niagara. And I guess those people up there are well heeled, you know. And you got to think somebody could have had a medical emergency that was brought up. Somebody could have found out that somebody else was, because it was a husband and wife in the vehicle. I didn't know that. I found out that later on that night or the next morning. But you know, that could have been it too. You know, people get upset and they do crazy things with a car. I'm speculating totally, but the thing that gets me is that they presented it. Fox News and a lot of other outlets and creators automatically put out there that it was a terror attack and explosives were involved and all this stuff. Turned out not to be true. So we got to, you know, the more excited, the more afraid, the more like we haven't had enough to drive us nuts over the last 3 years. But anyway, there is one other thing to think about, and it's just something to think about because we've seen it happen. Somebody's car does what it wants to do, right? Think Anne Hesh. Okay? And if you're new here, Anne Hesh is a famous person who her car was involved in unusual jumping over a wall in a residential area at a high rate of speed, like a crazy type of thing. Also, the aide to the governor in Georgia, okay, their vehicle going wild. So we don't know who these people are or what it was, but we do know that it's on the menu, okay, for people to be able to get into a vehicle system and make the car accelerate, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it, okay? And if you think about it, it's a handy way to eliminate people who are a problem for you, right? If you're able to do that. I'm not saying that happened with Rainbow Bridge. What I think happened was it was a terrible accident may have been a malfunction in the vehicle, a medical emergency, or a emotional you know, fit of rage, but they certainly didn't hesitate to make it a national issue and get everybody all upset. At the same time, Hochul was talking about censoring, okay, talking about I say without getting in trouble, but putting people in places they don't want to be if they think they have an illness. I guess you could say camps, right? So simultaneously, this thing happens. So yeah, they're not gonna let a good accident go to waste, is what I'm saying. But also at the same time, if they were people that might have had their electronics hacked, that's an outside possibility not to overlook. But there was doing what it wants. But I am back. So yeah, over the target, Sissy said, yeah, I tell you, it started about 20 minutes before I went live. Fancy Oak said, where'd I go? I went dark. Diane said, well, I'm back. But if that happens, folks, that wasn't because of my error. I was jumping from this tweet that Devin Nunes retweeted from John Rich concerning these issues, what I would call scare events, okay? CBS News putting out a disruption at a pumping station, a booster station in Podunk, wherever. And the national coverage of a car wreck leads people to get upset and wary. So John Rich put this out, said Newsweek reached out, so I gave him a response. And apparently John Rich had put out a tweet that what happened at the Rainbow Bridge was an attack, right? I'm tired of spelling that TE word, right? So Newsweek reached out to him and said, hey, hello, John. I'm reaching out for a comment about a story we're working on Newsweek. Your recent post on X, formerly Twitter, about a car accident in Rainbow Bridge because this is a problem that I said to myself, something's going on. And I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, but you look at my title, because I'm putting two and two together. Okay. So I don't think it's Miss Bensu. I don't think it's about John Rich. I think it's about what else I got lined up to talk about. I put it in capital letters. Yeah. Uh, at Walmart. Yeah, I see that. So anyway, so John Rich, they're mocking him because, or trying to mock him, and they said, what's your comment? Uh, and his response. Let me jump back on my screen here and see if you all hear me. Okay. Oops. Oh my goodness. How's that? Did I make it? Did I drop off at all, folks? I've got to do an extra step to make sure I don't. Did I go blank again, Nikki? Okay, now I'm at the 21:20 mark. Okay, I'm. Let me know if I go blank after this. Oh, twice. Okay. Well, all right. I get a 5x5, and then I'll jump off screen and try to finish. Did you all hear me talk about John Rich? I might have to do a Bumble special tomorrow. Okay, you guys can hear me? All right, I'm going to go out now and read John Rich's response to Newsweek of them saying, "What have you got to say about you?" They're saying he put out false information. When Fox News put it out, CBS put it out, NBC put it out, all these people put it out. So they're jumping on John Rich. So here I go, folks. Let's see if I make it back in or if I go blank. I will check in a minute. I'm going to read John Rich's response to Newsweek. We live in an era where legacy media, including outlets like Newsweek, have lied to the American people repeatedly, bringing up the majority of our citizens to a point of disbelieving almost everything they are told. From the origins of CVID to the VAX to the laptop to the Russia hoax and so on. Mainstream bought and paid media have lost all credibility. So he doesn't deserve to be second guessed by the public at large. Did I drop off that time, folks? I had to read that real fast. Okay, apparently I did not drop off. That's good. Wow. I hate that that's this touchy, but we'll keep going, right? All right. So anyway, you tie that together with Devin Nunes retweeting that or re-Xing that response from John Rich and Newsweek. Why would they go out of the way to make John Rich was one of I don't know how many people that were communicating back and forth. Did you hear about the car blowing up? Did you hear? Oh my gosh, it was at the border. Everybody was doing that except Mountain Man. But yeah, why pick on John Rich? So anyway, I'm more interested in who these people were. Did they have any contacts? What were they involved in? And, they're not going to be able to get much evidence out of that vehicle. But Space Force, they can intercept that kind of stuff. Somebody going via satellite and getting into a vehicle's instrument cluster. Hi, the cat. How are you doing? Cheryl, how you doing? Well, but I also strongly realize that human relationships can get pretty crazy. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. And you got a husband and wife by themselves, and something like that happened. There was no real plot to it, no plan. It was either an out of control vehicle or an out of control driver. Now, what caused the vehicle to go out of control? It could have been the driver, but if it wasn't, but they don't, they can't say, but they can interview family members. Was there anything going on, or if they find letters at the home, or they find text messages. What were you doing with Aunt Lucy? It might have been her driving. Who knows? So we'll see. We'll see. But now here, boy, things just go right crazy. Now, Nunes also tweeted out again that Amazon Prime Video removes the documentary called The Plot Against the President without explanation. It's and Nunes found that important enough to put that message out a second time. So I understand it's available on Bumble, but let's keep in mind that Amazon Prime is owned by who? Jeff Bezos, Bozo Bezos. And Bozo Bezos also owns the Washington Compost, okay, up there in Washington, D.C., Richmond, north of Richmond. The cat. Oh, yeah. Your car just died on the side of the road. That's right. They've got them now where they could shut them down. I tell you what, I used to say, if my vehicle doesn't need lead additive, it's too new for me. So yeah, they can mess with the vehicles. That's what this whole. A lot of you remember me talk about the cash for clunkers. What a scam! Taking viable assets that are paid for, bring them into a dealership where they're supposed to destroy the engine of a perfectly good car, but they give you a credit towards one of a brand new vehicle that's got all the surveillance electronics, all the shutdown electronics on it, okay, and puts you getting $10,000 off. Yeah, well, they're charging you $40,000 and you just turned in something higher quality that's paid for, that's been destroyed. Wait a minute, they didn't destroy them. They're finding thousands of those cars overseas. Lebanon being one place. I had a Mercedes that ended up in Lebanon, and it wasn't because I, did any government thing. I sold it to a guy. Turned out he knew some sheik or something. And 19, was it a 76 450 SL convertible? And man, they paid cash and they were happy. So yeah, if you got an old one, keep it. Keep it. Andrew, Gary, how you doing? Let's see who else is in here. Might have missed. Okay, so we're. Well, let me see what the. Gary's got a Chevy, but there you go. Heartbeat of America. Heartbeat of America. But man, I tell you what, that cash for clunkers, you had some legacy vehicles that your parents liked, your grandparents liked, that were practically bulletproof. Think Chevy Caprice, okay? Think Ford LTDs. Think Mercury Marquis. think Lincoln Continentals. All these cars were available, 5, 6 passenger, true full-size luxury vehicles and kind of sub-luxury vehicles, but still very good cars that summarily got destroyed, supposedly. Now we're finding out there was an underground economy for those vehicles, and everybody ended up in debt with new junk that they can spy on you with. Crazy world we live in. Beware bureaucrats bearing gifts. Oh my gosh. Here's another article I grabbed just before I went up. London court rules parents can't stop their child from going through the change. I'll put it that way. And not the change we remember when we were youngins, okay? The parents of a 17-year-old trans-identifying child cannot stop the teenager from having breast removal surgery, despite their claims that their kid is living with a severe mental illness. The High Court ruled parents can't stop schizotypal child from having a double mastectomy. Make sure I get back in without getting knocked off. Hey, now it's working good, huh? Okay, so their kid has been diagnosed with a psychological disorder. They're underage, and they want to permanently do something surgically that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. And the child's attorneys, I guess, a teenager accuses parents of believing LGBTQ people to be, quote, evil and satanic. Did you catch that, folks? Well, I don't know what else it is. It ain't godly. So what's the opposite? Okay. So let's see. I'm already going a half hour, so I better get to this story because I'll run out of time. And this is a good topic to jump. Do you remember when this museum put out that there was a trans Caesar? Okay. I'm just looking at the chats. Anyway, so I'm going to get into that. But in my title, I've got the word Blackstone, right? The Blackstone. And that is something that is located in Mecca. I'll be getting back to this trans Caesar in a little bit, but I want to get the titles out of my thumbnail out of the way. There's a lot of different things that people attribute to Blackstone. Everybody goes to Mecca and they got to circumambulate the building it's in. What do they call that? I don't know, the Hajj or something like that. In Mecca, they got to go around it 7 times and then kiss the Blackstone. And they think it's a meteorite stone that's been preserved. The history of it, as far as Islamic beliefs, there's different stories. Some people say it turned dark because of Adam wiped his tears with the stone. It's actually 7 pieces of stone that is kind of organized against another stone, kind of made glued to it. I don't know. But anyway, so they say his sin was in his tears, and that's what made the stone go from pure white to a black stone. And there's other stories in Islam about it. Some of these passages are so X3-actual in nature. I can't talk about it on YouTube. Some people can, because if they have a channel that discusses specifically religion and they're of that faith, I'm sure they get more leeway than I would. But it basically has to do with the sins of man turning this stone from white to black. And everybody worships a stone. And now from my last broadcast, we know that Muhammad came around 600 years after Christ, okay? 600 something AD, 630, 25, something like that. And he started basically gathering bits and parts and pieces, integrating it into the Islamic faith, referring that Abraham, you have to honor Abraham because he was, to paraphrase what was being said, that he was pleased God and he did not worship idols. Okay, one God, no idolatry. And there's one story about a guy in an Arabic country. He had a planter outside. He put flowers in or something, and it was a duck in the back or swan, and in the back of the swan had flowers in it. Well, next thing he knows, the Sharia police are banging on his door. And he said, "What are y'all doing?" He said, You're worshiping idols." This Sharia police, and hey, they don't fool around. Oh, you get, a shortened expiration date. And he said, "Oh, I know I'm not. You can look at my house. I'm not." And then they said, "Your planter, even the planter in his front yard." So you know what the Sharia police did? They went out there with a machete and whacked the head off the swan planter, destroyed the planter. So it wasn't an edifice of some sort that he could be accused of worshiping. So, that's got a lot of people going, all right, if there's zero idolatry, what's this business of running around 7 times and kissing this black stone? Isn't that, like with Moses' staff? After Moses died, they destroyed his staff. They didn't want people worshiping it. Satan tried to claim Moses' body. Michael, the archangel Michael, came and rebuked Satan and didn't say 10 cents to him, and spirited Moses' body away for God to bury. So there would be no worshiping of anything but one God. So the more you find out about that stuff, like if you X, it was, I don't know when it came out, 1990 something. Malcolm X was a Muslim, American Muslim, and he was a militant. And anyway, he went to, I guess, the Hajj and went around the building 7 times and did his prayers, and at the time everybody's supposed to go once a year. And he changed his view on race relations and wanted to repair race relations with everybody, but most noticeably between the whites and the blacks. Of course, this was in the 60s, and when Martin Luther King was making his strides. And don't you know what happened to Malcolm X? People from the American Muslims, I'll say, assassinated him. So, but one of the things you'll notice in that movie is that all the people who were running around the Hajj were dressed in white robes. Everybody. Turns out that the way this thing started was the imams or the wife of the sheiks or whoever was running this yearly ritual, you had to rent or buy proper clothing in order to circumambulate around this edifice. And in other words, it was a money-making racket. So, and it's gotten huge. I mean, it's unbelievable now. I'll show you some pictures of how it was in the 1940s versus the 60s. And then when the oil money started rolling in. But anyway, so here they all are going after this black rock. The story is about how the black rock came about. The black rock is supposed to be the center of the earth, okay? That's where everybody prays 5 times a day when you see them bow down on their knees and they're all in rows like they were when I showed that video of them in front of the George Washington Monument, in Freedom Plaza in D.C., thousands of them all praying toward Mecca. Oh, what have we got ourselves into? So anyway, so here they are praying toward Mecca, and you go around sometimes, all your sins are forgiven. And, these things need to be said. Muhammad likened the ritual as being equal to freeing a slave. And everybody goes, oh, that is so nice. Well, no, it ain't nice, actually. The thing is, you can have as many slaves as you can afford. And if you do wrong and God is angry at you, you're required as punishment to free a slave. So if you can make it and go around the building 7 times, pay for your robes now, and kiss the Blackstone, you don't got to free your slave. See what I'm saying? Just the first sentence sounds wonderful. Oh, it's like freeing a slave. Wait a minute. Who's slave? Wow. And the thing is that just what I said, you can keep them all. And that's the biggest slave trade that's going on right now. It's in the Arabic world. And I talked about that, the movie Ashanti, for you all to check out the movie Ashanti. And it's still going on to this day, and it's never stopped. So anyway, I'm going through this stuff, trying to learn a little bit about Islam. I told you all about Christian Prince. Now, he did a 7-hour live stream. I can't do that. I can't be there for his live streams, but I do watch highlight videos, and I learn a lot. And I'm not trying to alienate anybody. The man is a scholar, okay? He's got a degree in Islamic studies. He is a Arabic-speaking person. He says, I am an Arab. And he points out that the Arabic language is basically Aramaic, surviving Aramaic, and a blend of other languages. For instance, somebody in Morocco cannot speak to somebody if somebody that speaks Arabic does not know how to speak Moroccan and vice versa, they can't have a conversation. So then there's Sunni and there's Shia branches of the Islamic faith. I won't get into that, but they do not like each other, and they're at each other's throats all the time. Think Iran, Shia, Saudi Arabia, Sunni, okay, and Iraq was Sunni. Iran and Iraq had a war way before we had our war with Iraq, and hundreds of thousands of people died. They hate each other. But more importantly, you take Sunni and Shia side by side, and neither one of them like somebody from Palestine. Okay? So it's a beehive down there, a beehive, and we don't need to be in it. And we don't need those passions and ancient arguments spilling into our body politic or our culture, because there ain't a damn thing we can do about it, and we should not even be trying, except to the level that Trump has been trying, saying, look, you guys stop it, you settle in, or you're going to get affected very badly economically. I've showed that in the past. Trump will break their backs economically first, and if they keep up, then it's fire and fury. Okay, you know, he's a what we used to call a peacenik. So, anyway, all that having been said, everybody talked about the 72 virgins, right? Well, I talked about that the other night. It turns out that is not the case. You get 72 experts from Hades, okay? You know, they're just for your pleasure, all right? But there's something else you get that people don't mention. And if somebody feels I'm wrong, there's a website, Jordan, the King of Jordan, has authorized a website. It's the Jordanian government's put out a website where people can look up the Quran and look up hadiths and look up translations and do their own research on the Quran. Okay. And this is stuff that I heard, okay, from somebody who has a degree in Islamic studies. I'm pretty sure it's a doctorate level. And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Put it in the comments. I'll apologize. But the other thing you get promised is 80,000. And I'm going to use the term like Frank does on the NPC show. Neki, Nekkie. You know what that means, right? Without garments. Little boys. When you get into the inner workings of what they hammered together 1,400 years ago, 600, over half millennium after Christ, and thousands of years after Abraham, you see some very disturbing stuff. So anyway, why would paradise be 72 toots, I'll say, okay, as in prosta, not pasta, prosta, and then toots, okay. Why would that and 80,000 Nekkie BOYSs be considered paradise? What kind of God promises you that? Along with a lot of other stuff I just don't feel comfortable talking about. You're supposed to, for one thing, you're supposed to have an eternal, I'll say, state of arousal. Okay? Eternal. Endless, okay? For the male, you know? And I alluded in the last broadcast that a lot of women are saying, hey, wait a minute. You know, I'm not too crazy about that, you know, for my husband. and what do women do, you know? So there's a lot of upheaval going on. I think there's a lot of secret Christians. I was going to put that in my title too, secret Christians, because people convert. And in some of these countries, if you leave Islam, you know what the penalty is. Boy, that's a loving God. But the way it's written, It is changes, or no, I don't like this hadith, I'll go to this hadith. The bottom line is you can break every commandment, okay, under this belief system. But at the same time, you're supposed to respect the laws of Moses. You're supposed to respect Abraham and Jesus and read the Gospels and take the Torah, Old Testament, to heart. But at the other time, you can assault people, you can commit adultery, you can steal, you can lie. It's mind blowing. But how does this play into what I was talking? The black stone. That is, in my opinion, pagan and idol worship. It comes from a pagan tradition. Well, the rebuttal to that is, well, you all pray to statues of Mary. No, we don't pray. My parents had the Madonna figure planter. You know, you had a planter in the front was Mary praying. We don't worship that planter like God. You know, we have ceramic figurines to honor them, to remember them, to remind us, okay, of the story of Christ. But if you drop the planter and breaks, you don't go, oh my gosh, I got to whip myself in the back 17 times. You don't get up and light candles around a planter. You know, it is not pagan worship. It's honoring and remembering in an artful way. There's nothing wrong with that. And some Christians don't believe in that. So, hi, Sharon, how you doing? So, anyway, that's the rebuttal there. But let me get to this this character that they're touting as being a transgender Caesar. Okay, and you know it'll make sense in a little bit. I just got to go way down in my picture shows, and I tell you, it's a lot to set those up. Otherwise I would do them more often. But it's especially when I go on Bumble. It is, well, I hate to say nuisance, and I have to keep checking back as I search to make sure I haven't been kicked off live stream. And see, my screen is recovering very well. Thank you. Good. So let me continue. I shall continue. This character that they hold up as a Caesar, which is supposedly justifying their existence now, okay? He was, let me get his name pulled up here. Elagabalus. That's the name they put up. Let me give you just a short, Frank's Speech, Black Friday deals. I got my notification on. By the way, folks, I got a buy me a coffee link in the description. Anybody wants to help the channel out, and I can get your message if you go to buy me a coffee right away. I've changed my notifications. But anyway, let me get back to this, because I usually mention that at the half hour and I forgot again. But anyway, Marcus Aurelius Antonius, born Sextus Varius Avitus Basinius. He lived 204 BC. He was born 204 BC. Now, this was 400 years before Muhammad, just to put everybody in perspective, and 200 years after Christ. Okay, roughly 130 years after the fall of the Second Temple. You know, not a lot of people get into all that kind of stuff, but most of us, we have that in our heads. Just to put it in perspective, what are they talking about? this transgender Caesar. Now, I'm not going to read that whole name over. I'm just going to refer to him as Cupcacius Maxipatius. How's that sound? That sounds kind of Roman, doesn't it? No, I think I'll just stick with Cupcake. He was 18 years old, and the quick story about him was he had a hedonistic rule. Okay, he believed in pagan gods. His mother was kind of sneaky and nefarious and stuff, getting him in there to be the Caesar. He had a co-ruler, a young man by the name, I believe it was Alexander, and he tried to pretend like this Alexander guy had corked off so he could have total power. But anyway, he was in power for 36 months, roughly, maybe even 35 months, a little under 3 years. And he ended up being assassinated by the Praetorian Guard along with his mother, and they threw him in the Tiber River. Okay. So he's a little blip in the timeline of history and very little consequence. So, yeah, Pappy, Cupcacius Maxipatimus. So he was not transgender. He was, however, amoral, and he had wives. He had like 4 or 5 wives, and he was a promiscuous little twit that that worshipped idols, right? So let me continue with this, and I got to check back in to make sure. Anyway, his short reign was notorious for S3X scandals and religious controversy. A close relative to the Severan dynasty, he came from a prominent Arab family in Emesa, Syria, where since his early youth, he served as head priest of the sun god Elagabal. Remember when I was talking about Allah, the 2 words, Allah, L-A-H, A-H is God, Allah. And Christian Prince was talking about it being the moon god, okay? And now here we got this guy who Caesars could pick the god that they preferred. That was a customary role. And they had pagan gods. And this guy picked this sun god. Well, let me see if I can jump off into the thing here. So, oh gosh, there it goes. After the death of his cousin, there was an army revolt, and then how they got him in the office. And what he did was, one of the many affronts he committed was he married a Vestal virgin. Now, the Romans took their Vestal virgins very seriously. If one of them decided not to be a virgin anymore, they buried them alive. That was the penalty. So he got away with that for a short period of time. But he did it. I mean, he did it. He did marry one. But anyway, in a lavish temple called the Elagabellum was built on the east face of Palatine Hill to house Elagabal. This was represented by a black conical meteorite from Syria. This was a Baitlus. Y'all catching that? A meteorite from Syria is in this temple to the sun god. Herodian wrote, "This stone is worshipped as though it were sent from heaven. On it there are some small projecting pieces and markings that are pointed out, which the people would like to believe there is a rough picture of the sun, because this is how they see them." Well, it was a black stone. Also, the same image of a stone with points sticking out of it, like a sun, even though it's black, was on the Colossus of Rhodes. Okay, you can look that up if you want. It's very interesting. But anyway, this meteorite was worshipped 400 years before before Muhammad. Each summer solstice, he held a big whoop-de-doo there, and this black stone, well, it's going on into some of his well, some of his dalliances. But anyway, this black stone is traced back to Alexander the Great. Now, I'm not saying the one in Mecca is the same stone as the one the Cupcake King, I'll call him that, had. But the story continues even before Alexander the Great, even before this Aglavius or whatever his name is. It goes back to Greek mythology of a god who thought that his children were going to overthrow him or kill him, right? So what this god would do was, what he did was devour his children. And his wife had the last boy, hid him away, and wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes for the god to eat. Now, each time he ate one of his progeny, he spit them out, and they flew down and hit the earth. That's where they think these meteorites come from. The last one that was not a sun, was an actual rock, is what they think was spit out and hit the center of the earth. So there you go, with thousands of years ago, Greek mythology talking about this black meteorite that was spit out, hitting the center of the universe, that was the son of a god, supposed to be the son of a god. And thousands of years later, you have Muhammad, after Alexander the Great carried on that tradition, after Eglobus, the hedonist, paganist, they say transgender, which is ridiculous, Caesar, 400 years later, Muhammad. And to this day, you got people dancing around that black stone. Now, if that ain't symbolism, I don't know what is. But now, I will say that the sun that did not get devoured, guess who it was in Greek mythology? Nick, you going to bed, all right? It was Zeus. Zeus was the son who did not get devoured. Who was the father who was eating everybody and spitting the rocks out? Was Kronos. Kronos. I thought he said Corona. I'm going to have to check that out, because that would make my head flip. But where I'm thinking that symbolism is going to be their downfall is this. What's the company that has been causing a lot of trouble, that everybody knows is open and notorious for buying companies for the sole purpose of controlling our media, disturbing our culture, influencing our pharmaceutical. It's not called Blackstone, okay? It's called rock. So this goes all the way back to paganism, Greek mythology, all through thousands of years of history to the present day. And I think that company, the rock that is black, is tied into people that are in idol worship, paganism, and Satanism. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. Same suit, different bow tie. The other thing is, if you look at the Colossus of Rhodes, the drawings where they have the points sticking out of the head, the rock as described, having points like a crown, before the one at in Mecca got busted up, there's mythology about that having looked like a sun. Well, in our 17 posts, they showed a symbol of it was actually Anderson Pooper Scooper's mother, who was wearing a necklace that looked like that, okay? A sun emblem. And I pointed out how the new president, Javier, had put his forearm, apparently, or removed the sun emblem from the Argentina sash, the royal or presidential sash he was wearing. So I am not trying to get people to go down a mystical trail. I'm trying to show that idol worship exists. It's influencing the world, politics. It's influencing our government and governments nationwide. And it is truly a battle between good and evil, those that believe in God's word and those who want to do idol worship. A point, very important point for people to remember. I'll use the BLACKSTONE as an example. Worshipping something like that is evil and prohibited. Praising it, worshiping it, giving thanks to it, whatever. But equally bad is being afraid of it. Why would you be afraid of something? That is a form of worship. Don't give it a second thought. The only reason I'm bringing it up is to show that through these symbols and these corporations that are tied back, what they're tied into is hedonism, paganism, Satanism. Do as thou wilt. And it's against God. And I hope that, people of good faith, the more they learn about the belief systems they're involved in, they'll see it. And my ultimate hope is that they would learn about the teachings of Christ and accept Christ as the way, the truth, and the light. And because this pagan worship, this talking about judges taking away parental rights and having children do that to themselves before they even have a chance to think clearly, it's causing a lot of human suffering. That is what it's all about. The wages of sin are death. And it's sinful to behave in a pagan way and to worship idols. And I'm just showing a chain of events throughout history that people can check out for themselves, from Greek mythology, Alexander the Great. He had a stone. I won't say the stone, because I don't think it's all the same stone passed down. It is the philosophy and the belief system that's been passed down for thousands of years. And that's what we're dealing with right now, folks. All right, I'm going over an hour big time. I have a bunch of stories I can get to tomorrow. Let me see if I missed anything. Well, you can't dump it all on one group or another. Pope Francis, yeah, he's not helpful in this situation. But hey, the mullahs in Iran aren't either. The teachers in our school systems aren't either. And they have nothing to do with Pope Francis or any Jewish group. You know what, the Khazarian mafia and all that kind of talk. Be leery of people who are pointing fingers at one specific group. Satan's smoke gets into everybody's closets, okay? Nobody's immune, and there's you can't get caught into pointing fingers at one group. Well, the Tower of Babel, that was Nimrod. He wanted to build something high enough to literally shoot an arrow at God. And that's when God decided, well, if people don't have their own individual nations, cultures, and languages, it is too easy for all of them to be influenced because they have the same language. They can be group influence. And he said, well, I'll put an end to that. And he knocked down the Tower of Babel, and next thing you knew, none of them knew what they were talking about, just like Morocco. You know, and that slowed down Satan. But I tell you, we're getting into a international culture that's being integrated where, because of the internet and Google and stuff, we're falling back into the days of Nimrod. So anyway, folks, I hope you found this stuff informative. You can check it out. Greek mythology, Alexander the Great, okay? Rome, Caesar, this character, and then you have Muhammad. And Blackstone equals black, and the last word is rock, I think. So you all have a great evening. I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And I want to thank everybody who helped me out last week. And Gary, I've got him at the very beginning. And I had a secret helper last night. I woke up this morning, somebody came to buy me a coffee, and I want to thank everybody on there. I got to add SM helped last week. It's not on this list, so I got to change it a little bit. They had a couple of people that have helped out. I'm trying to see. I think SM is the only one I got to add. But anyway, folks, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me, and I I will be going live again soon. So if you're not subscribed, I'm still bopping around 1,200 subscribers. You know, that's perfectly normal to go like 3 to 6 months with, you know, how many subscribers I got last month? I'm not lying. I took a screenshot of it. 17. Ha 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 ha. I went up by 17, but that's just not normal for YouTube. You know it. I know it. I'm not getting shown around and being suppressed. But after the 8th, I'll be able to speak more freely. And if I do get the axe, you all heard about my secret channel, and look for it because that's where I will post if anything bad happens to me here. And I'm also on Bumble, Mountain Man Speaks. So we're going to try to keep getting the word out, folks, and keep your chins up because the best is yet to come. I will be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.